Hey babe. Sorry. Hey love, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hey babe. I'm Alisha. I do vlogs, I do lifestyle content. I'm bringing you guys along with my journey. Today, this is actually going to be a really wild one. So today, I don't even know where to begin. I'm sharing my international home buy-in process with you guys, specifically in the terms of me trying to buy a property in Barbados. And let's just say there have been a lot of delays. It's been stressful, and honestly, it's been a little bit disappointing, but I'm going to share with you guys everything that I know, and hopefully that this can help you in your future home buying purchase later on. First, let me give you a little background, because Barbados isn't just like some random island that I picked. I actually grew up there from 2 to 13 on the island. I went to school there. My dad still lives there full time. I still have family ties. Both of my parents are from the Caribbean. My mom is from Dominica. My dad is from Barbados. So this place just isn't something like, oh, I'm gonna visit. I tend to frequent here quite often. And I actually consider this place home because, like I said, I grew up here from 2 to 13. Looking back, for me, this home purchase was going to be an investment and not a short-term decision. I ultimately knew that this was going to be an investment home for me when going into it. Last year, I made the decision that I wanted to buy a property overseas, again in Barbados, whether it was for personal, family, or just an investment use, something along those lines. And when I tell you, I thought it was going to be easy, it's going to be cute, sweet, I was going to have everything done in 2 to 3 months. I honestly thought I was going to scroll it through listings, talk to an agent, sign papers like it normally is in the States, and be ready to be signed, sealed, and delivered. I started doing my research. I started to reach out to different real estate companies, agents, trying to feel for the market. And yeah, I was definitely met with silence. Definitely met with no return emails. Definitely met with no one calling me back. I was met with all of that. I spent a couple $100s calling internationally, just trying to get my information. I started doing my research. I started reaching out to different real estate companies, agents. I'm trying to get a feel of what it was like. And honestly, I was met with silence, no return emails, no response from text messages. And when I called, I never really got a response, or someone never really followed up with me. And I was met oh, we'll call you back, and never got a call back. So I definitely wasted a lot of money calling, because those calls aren't free, trying to get information. I was trying so hard to be patient, but honestly, the unprofessionalism, the unavailableness, and honestly, that was truly disheartening. I was really somewhat discouraged in purchasing my first home there, because like I said, I grew up there. I knew most of everything. So for me to experience this, very disheartening. But finally, in October 2024, things started to shift. I came across a social media influencer in Barbados that also kind of works in real estate. Baby, when I tell you, that was divine timing. She had posted a listing. It was exactly the area that I wanted to be in. It was within my budget, and y'all, it definitely looked perfect for me. I reached out immediately, and she was very responsive to all the questions that I had. We set up a virtual tour, and everything moved very quickly from there. I finally felt like I was getting somewhere, and I was able to connect with someone that was going to be able to answer all of the questions So after the virtual tour, I was all in. The unit was in the right location. The price was great. Even though the HOA fees was a little bit higher than what I expected, I was okay, it's still affordable and I can still manage it. Now let me tell you something. The unit did not come with the AC, which was wild to me. So I tried to negotiate, like, can you at least install it if I pay for it, or can you pay for it and I install it? Honestly, they were not willing to negotiate on the price, and I don't fault them for it, because honestly the listing price was an amazing price already. So I decided to take it as what it was and, you know, start the process. We signed a vendor agreement, which I thought meant we were locked in. Listen, girl, that turned around and that really wasn't legally binding. And honestly, all of that for me later on, because I was easily able to wiggle my way out of this deal, honestly. From there, I moved into the bank process. That was like somewhere at the end of October all the way through January. I submitted everything like super quickly on time, like, because I wanted this property done before my birthday in April, but delays kept piling up. The rep, or the senior rep, handling my file was either out sick or there were a lot of holidays, and because I'm overseas, it kind of just dragged out. On top of that, and I had to pay for an evaluation out of pocket of the home before the bank would even loan me the money for the property. Okay. January comes around and it's time for the lawyer, which I guess is the person that kind of checks the paperwork. I choose their lawyer because if I went with the outside lawyer, I would have had to pay double, and I would have had to, regardless of whatever happened, if I paid an outside lawyer or the inside lawyer, I was still paying a lawyer fee. So I just honestly went along with it because I was just like, cool, like, I'm not gonna pay double, I'm gonna save me some money. So she was slow to respond, barely updating me, and I was constantly had to follow up to get basic answers like, we're still waiting on paperwork, nothing has changed, they haven't turned in all of the documents. Meanwhile, the agent is telling me everything should be done like around the end of March. Perfect, right? I planned a trip for April 2025 for Vibes Cartel performing. I was ready to stay in my new place, have the keys, living in the Caribbean, but y'all, let's just say that didn't happen. And my birthday was definitely ruined because I wanted to be having keys in my hand and taking pictures with my new property. And that didn't happen. So distraught. April comes around, no final paperwork, no keys, no update. So early May, I reached out to the agent and I was like, this is taking way too long, and she actually agreed with me. The end of May, I actually reached out to the lawyer to ask her what's happening, what happens if I backed out, and she was like, pretty much I would lose any money that I paid to the vendor, or the seller, as you guys may know, and I would have to pay her legal fees. And that's when everything unraveled for me, and I was just like, that's when I really found out that the paperwork of the vendor agreement that I signed, like, that really didn't mean anything, and they could pretty much take whatever to submit their document. And we've been waiting. Technically, we signed the paperwork back in October, so they had all the way from October to pretty much mid-June to get the deeds and get everything sent over to be finished. And I was just like, it's definitely way too long. And because we were never under no legal contract, they typically didn't have a deadline of turning any paperwork. So honestly, I just felt like they were stringing me along. And honestly, I was sick of it. I was tired of it. I really couldn't make any financial decisions or make any additional purchases, make any business moves at this point in time, because I'm in the home buying purchase process. I finally sent an email to the lawyer. If you didn't have all the documents by June 30th, I'm not going to be moving forward. Let the vendor know, or the seller, I'm sorry if you guys are like a little confused. Vendor know they'll need to cover her costs. Crickets. No response since June 12th when I sent that email. I sent the same email to the real estate agent so that she can relay that to their real estate agent, so they could pretty much tell them and get it like at all angles, so they know that I'm serious. I'm not backing out. And yeah. So when I sent the email or message, I should say, I definitely asked my real estate agent to start looking for properties. I definitely said, like, hey, I don't want to live in that condominium anymore, just because the HOA fees were ridiculous. I wanted to stay in that particular area. If it was not in that particular area, I didn't want to live there. And then also, if you couldn't find anything, like, I'm willing to wait, so you just need to tell me. Alright, so that was June 12th. So now we wait until July 1st, and you guys would not believe what happened. Remember I told you guys on June 12th that I asked the seller to cover the cost, and I gave them until June 30th to submit everything to my lawyer, and then there was crickets from my personal lawyer for about 3 weeks. By the time June 1st rolled around, I reached out promptly 9:30 a.m. to get an update. Still nothing, still crickets. On July 2nd, I finally had enough, and I sent a very stern email. Pretty much stop all business activities immediately. Let me know if they're going to cover your legal fees. If not, send me the invoice and I'll pay it. The process has taken long enough, and I've communicated. The communication that I'm receiving from you is honestly unacceptable. I told you had a deadline of June 30th, and you really haven't even abided by that, and I gave you an additional 24 hours to give me a response on my simple question, did you get all my documents? Didn't say anything. Less than 20 minutes, I got a reply back, but instead of answering my question directly, I got met with a dance around answer. She talked about services rendered and claimed that she kept me updated, which literally pissed me off, because literally we have not communicated since June 12th. So what communication have we talked about besides the fact that you owed me an agreement, a drafted agreement, which I didn't get? You owed me, will they be covering your legal fees? You didn't answer that. You also didn't tell me if they were going to be covering if they provided you all the documents. So what services have you rendered since June 12th? Nothing. Cool beans. I replied back respectfully, and I was just like, listen, you haven't provided me with any updates. I asked you for those said items. You still haven't told me anything. And I was like, listen, if the sellers are going to cover your costs, just tell me and I'll pay it. And then at the end of that email, I was really frustrated. I stand firm on, listen, tell me right now how much your fees are so we can part ways. Because honestly, I feel it's very unprofessional that I've been waiting since January and you've been stringing me along, and you really haven't told me anything besides, oh, they haven't submitted all their stuff and they could pretty much take whatever. And that really just pissed me off. And my real estate agent, she literally kind of said the same thing, and yeah, cool. So that email kind of struck her oh, she was serious about what I said. You had until June 30th for them to get you the stuff. If they didn't get it to you, I'm going to withdraw my offer. In the email back, she pretty much responded that she waived my fees, just given to the delays and miscommunications. It's not like a normal process, in purchasing a home, that it shouldn't have taken this long, especially with all the significant delays. And like I said, she waived the fees, and I was grateful for that. She told me that she'll notify the bank and the seller or the vendor. Grateful. I reached out to the bank, told them, reached out to my real estate agent, which I had already done, and pretty much told her hey, yeah, can you let me know, hey, since June 2012, have you found anything? Pretty much where I'm at was hey, I didn't find anything in that area, which I kind of already knew. That she wasn't going to find anything at this time of year, but she said she and she also didn't find anything within my price range. So I was okay, cool. She'll let me know something by the end of July. So where does that leave me? My overall experience with this, honestly, I'll say 5 out of 10. And honestly, the biggest thing that I learned out of this is I gained insight on the process. I've heard about overseas purchases going, but now I've experienced it. The communication delays, the silence, the exceptions. I know the steps to take the next time, if I even take it again. Honestly, this probably wasn't meant for me. It wasn't a bad experience overall. I just kind of ignored the red flags. And again, like I said, my real estate agent was great. The communication was great. The people that she put me in touch with was great. With the bank, amazing. The lawyer, when we first started, she was great. She was responding. But once it got down to the final nitty-gritty with the stuff, it literally didn't work out. Honestly, I say all that to say I definitely learned a lot. Definitely going through this process again, I promise you, like, it will be 10 times different. I don't even know if I want to purchase a home internationally anymore, but if something does become available, I'll take a look at it, as long as everything makes sense. But honestly, like, this process really discouraged me in going through the whole entire process. And this isn't everything that I experienced, because there were some other crazy situations that I experienced as well throughout this whole entire process with different companies. And honestly, like, I don't even want to put them on blast because of how disrespectful and unprofessional, and their business practices are just crazy to me. But like I said, this is all a learning process. If you guys have any questions, or if I think I missed anything and you want me to talk about something else, definitely comment it down below and I'll be more than happy to go into that. And if not, I'll see you in the next video, babe. Bye.